Hello and welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. It's Wednesday, July 29th. My name is Lincoln Shrike. He is Gordon Mack. We had some issues getting on the air here. My microphone was being a little, I don't know, it was misbehaving a little bit, but we hope to have that figured out. Gordon, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good. Another day. We're almost in August, man. Only a few more days until we get to
Almost there.
August. Can't believe it. We're almost there. Yeah. I'm going on vacation tomorrow, and you're having a baby soon. And Kevin
not
is
me, but my
moving.
wife.
Yeah, not you, but your wife. Hey, it's 2020. You never know. And Kevin is moving to a new home. So much happening for the three of us.
Yeah. I just realized on our little ticker there, I made a mistake and didn't put a space. There you see it go. Bubble, no bar there. People are just gonna have to deal with that. Imagine an NCAA XC bubble. Email the show. Yeah, a lot going on right now. I always have to clear my throat when I'm on the show. I promise I'm fine. Yeah, are you excited to travel? Are you gonna mask up for the duration of a flight?
I guess I have to. I mean, I'll put it on, and then when the stewardess isn't looking, I'll probably take it off. I don't think it's gonna be a packed airplane, so I think I'll probably have a row to myself. It's Spirit Airlines, that's not gonna be full. It'll be fine.
Boom! I love a good Spirit Airlines.
I had a flight already, but they canceled that flight because it wasn't full enough. So then I had to find a new flight. So that was kind of annoying. But it's a direct flight. Can't complain. So
to DC.
See how it goes. Yeah, to DC. Then I'm there for a week, going to the beach, and then after the beach, we're going to Shenandoah Valley, where it's like a national park. Go hiking and then come back. I got a COVID test. I'm not sure if I talked about this on the other pod, but I got a COVID test.
I listened to yesterday's show enough to hear you talk about it.
Yeah. Got COVID negative, so I'm ready to go. Full steam ahead.
Sounds good. Proud of you for that. Yesterday I drove past the testing site in Austin. It's just as you described, in some random parking lot, a bunch of tents, and a bunch of cars.
Looks like the entrance to like a concert. Go through here before you get to the parking lot of the concert. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, full disclosure, we're a little low on topics to talk about today. These middle of the week episodes, when there's no pro signings or results to talk about, can be a little tough, but we'll try to make it happen. You guys covered the shoe news yesterday. You covered the London Marathon, I guess, news, if you will. You didn't get to, though, the Monaco fields. They're slowly trickling out these athletes, and despite the pandemic, this is Monaco's always legit, but you thought maybe with the pandemic, there'd be light on American athletes and maybe some superstars would stay home. But this is a legit Monaco any other year type of event when you add in Donovan Brazier, who we knew was going because he told us. So he'll be in the 8. We don't know who he's racing. You're also just announced yesterday going to have steeplechase world record holder Beatrice Chipkowich, and then Grant Holloway is going to be making the trip. So some Americans, despite whatever the travel restrictions, I know Brazier talked about they're going to go through France, and that's how they're going to do it. I think they had to secure a special visa to travel. But this is going to be a really good meet on August 14th.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of interesting, seeing the athletes. I'm sure a lot of them were like, I don't know. I think when we asked Grant Holloway, he was kind of like, I don't know. He was kind of playing the fence. But I think when Monaco calls and say, hey, we're going to put you up in a beautiful hotel. We're going to pay you to come here. We're going to keep everything organized for you. We're going to give you your own virtual bubble in the best way they can. I've been to Monaco twice. You can Monaco is very kind of seclusive, right? It's not really, it's not like an overcrowded area. When you arrive, you will just get into a car. You could be around people who all have masks on. You're driving 40 minutes into Monaco, get right into your hotel, and then you're good to go. It's not really a congested type of town, so I feel like it's easy to social distance, just the way regular Americans are social distancing in their regular town. So,
well, hopefully better than regular Americans, because regular Americans haven't been doing as good as people, I think, in Europe. But I've always wanted to go to Monaco. Jealous that you've got the chance to go twice. I feel like you maybe not appreciate it as much as I would. I don't know. I don't know why I think that, but
Whoa,
it's such a
whoa,
nice.
whoa.
No, no, no. And I didn't mean to. Oh, I think Alon fixed our
I did.
ticker.
I fixed it.
Oh, you did. Clutch.
Yeah.
Sweet. Uh, it just seems like a paradise of a place. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't. That's one of the few places right now I would travel to. I think, and, I'd not really. I'm not really a huge fan right now. I'm trying to hop on a plane, but for Monaco, I think I would make that trip, and it's both surprising and not surprising that so many people are heading over there, because it's like Monaco is like one of those like stops that if they have your event, you're going to go to Monaco. It's the nicest
Yeah.
race on the circuit.
Yeah, it is a paradise of a place, but it's also only really paradise if you don't care about your pocketbook, like if you're not like thinking about how much things cost. Because
Yeah, yeah,
one
yeah,
thing you notice, like even when you're on work trips, you don't really think about that. Hey, that like airport bottled water is $6, and you don't think about
yeah.
it because you're like, whatever, it's expensive. But when you're just traveling leisurely, you're like, why am I buying a $6 water? You kind of
Yeah.
your brain all of a sudden like thinks about, ooh, this costs money. So
Yes. Yeah. Uh, we asked Donovan Brazier this question. He didn't give us a full answer. I'm gonna have to clear my throat again in a minute. It's got like a frog in my throat. How fast do you think he runs in his? I don't know if he's gonna run a tune-up 8 in the U.S. or not, but we don't know the fields. But I'm really curious to see how fast he can go, just based on how he ran that 1500 and closing so well, and how he ended the season last year. Last year's Monaco meet, there was a 141. And he broke the American record in his last 800 outdoors. Do you think he runs in the 142s, the 143s? What's your
I th-
opinion of how fast Brazier can go?
I think it's going to be 143 high. I just think in the
Mm-hmm.
time we're in with so much uncertainty of the training world and not having like a normal schedule, that it'll be hard for him to just like out of nowhere run a 141 or a 142 mid. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
so talented that out of nowhere he can run 143. By out of nowhere, I mean like not in a typical cycle. He's still doing some meets and training, but there's a mental situation where there's no Olympics, no Worlds, no USAs. Doesn't really matter if you win any race or lose any race because it's like whatever. This is all a mulligan year. So I think all that mental
Yeah.
factor can kind of make people not really go all in and focus on trying to run the best they can ever run at like an international meet. So I think he's going to win. I think he'll win handedly, but I think he'll probably
Mm.
run like 143.
Mm. I don't think Amos is in 141 shape, so I think that scenario where he would pull Brazier along to like a PR or really really fast time is probably out of the window. But if Amos is there, he's going to go out aggressively, and that could have the key for the situation we saw at Worlds last year, where Wesley Vasquez I think that's who it was, took out the first 400 meters. Really struggling here. This episode brought to you by needing to clear your throat. He took it out the really fast, that first 400, and then Brazier took over. So maybe we have a situation like that. I just feel like normally I wouldn't, in the first 800 or second 800 of a year, wouldn't think like, oh, the American record's on the table. But how good he looked in that 1500 and how young he is, obviously, and feels like we have just seen the very beginning of this. I could see him breaking his time, depending on who's there in this 800. I don't think this guy needs a ton of races to get really, really sharp. I mean, we think back to his start of his college career. What was it, like his first 800? He ran 145 indoors, and like everyone freaked out. Like, and he's run fast early in the season before too. So I think there's a really good shot he runs below his American record. And part of that is to do with the track. Monaco, very, very fast. I'm boring you with these statements.
No,
But Gordon, we're
it's
trying.
morning for me.
Yeah, no, it is for me too. We're trying to fill a podcast full of content when there's not a ton to talk about. So I'm going to drag every word out of these entries
Well,
as we can.
I do think it's interesting though that I mean, we're making it like it's news that Donovan is running Monaco, but we broke that news like last week. And I guess
Well,
no
he broke
one
it for us. Yeah.
he broke it
Yeah.
for us. But like you
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
think that I'm not blaming anyone. Excuse me, Kevin. I think whoever titled the Donovan Brazier podcast titled it World Champ Donovan Brazier, right? That was the title of the
Mm-hmm.
podcast. It
Mm-hmm.
should have been
That was,
titled
yeah. That was
Donovan Brazier to run Monaco. That's what I
oh,
think it should have
yeah.
been titled. Because then people will
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
oh, that's news. So,
Yeah.
but I
No,
didn't want to be someone who like micromanages
I
titles of podcasts, so I just let it go. But we could have
I
broke the
understand.
news. Could
I
have broke the
know.
news.
There's people who are keeping score of who breaks what news, so that would have been
They are.
super duper important. All right, so you think he's going to run the 143s? I think I'll just say it. I think he's going to run the American record. I think he's going to run under his 142.34. I know it's a bold pick. I get a lot of predictions wrong. I'm just like really bad at them. So I'm like
Who's
either
good at them?
way too. What's that?
No one's good at predicting.
I don't know. Some people are better than others. I'm just not. I'm not about that. That's why I don't play the stock market or anything like that. I'm just bad at it. All my takes just end up not happening. I don't know. Maybe I should
You
just
just put
quit.
all your money
Anyways,
underneath your mattress.
moving on. Moving on. Grant Holloway in the 110 hurdles. He made his season debut last week, 13:37. No time to, I don't know, write home about, but it'll be fun to see him back on the track in Monaco. Anything there? Do you
Yeah.
think he runs? Do you think he runs anywhere close to his PR? It seems like the hurdles is a tough. Like you have to get momentum going throughout the season. You can't debut with a PR. It seems like in the hurdles. That's just something that builds momentum. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's the technical aspect, but I'll be interested to see
Yeah, I
how
mean,
fast he can go coming off the 13:37.
you rarely like do all 10 hurdles in practice, you know what I mean? So like the number of times you actually get over all 10 hurdles consecutively is like at a race time. So if you need to like kind of have a bunch under your belt before you're like, all right, I'm ready to go. So you like are in your peak form for that 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th hurdle that you're not really
Yeah.
hitting as often in practice. You know, you might do like a 7 hurdle run or something like that in practice, but you rarely do a full 110 in practice.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you did, it doesn't have the pressure of a race, so you can't really simulate that. So, did you see the news about Gebrselassies hotels burned down? When we're
Well,
looking
I
for
did.
content to talk about,
Yeah,
I think that's
I
kind of
did
interesting.
because you told it to me before the show. Yeah, it feel very bad for him. He's had some bad luck with his hotels the last couple years with that issue with Mo Farah, whenever that was, I think last year, and then
Oh yeah, what was that?
now this. I mean, this is on a whole different scale, of course. It looks like
What was
an
what
issue
was the Mo
between
Farah
people
thing?
groups. I don't like
What
Mo
was the Mo
Farah
Farah thing?
he got gotten into a fight with somebody and didn't pay his tab or something. I don't know. It was
Oh, okay.
ridiculous. But do feel really bad for Haile Gebrselassie, a prominent businessman, obvious businessman in Ethiopia, and to have his hotels burned down is never a good thing. And you hope the situation, the issues that led to that, which it sounds like it was conflicting people groups. Obviously, we're familiar with the different. I keep saying people groups, but within Ethiopia and some of the issues they've had. Think back to Faisa de Lalesa in the Olympics, throwing up the X to represent his Oromo people. We just know that there's a lot of infighting in that country, and it's very unfortunate. According to the reports, that's differences between groups is what led to this. So you hope that no further damage is done. I don't know the situation. I'm not familiar with it. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth when I don't know what I'm talking about. But hearing a former great Haile Gebrselassie, who's seemingly done well for himself afterwards, has hotels burnt down, and it's going to be millions of dollars worth of damage. That's definitely a sad story.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing like when not to. It's a weird segue because obviously the story is because of the hotels burning down, but when you take away that story, the fact that he has 2 hotels, like how many elite track and field athletes are going on to becoming like businessmen in certain different areas. It's kind of cool just to look back at like when someone who was like known for athletics goes on and gets like honored in a non-athletic way. So here in Gebrsellassie's situation, so he goes on to like build hotels. Like that's kind of wild. Like how many people go on to
Yeah.
become hotel makers? You know, what's him called? Jim Ryan got the Presidential Medal of Freedom the other day, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, like it's kind of interesting when people in our community do things outside of our community that are like hard to do, even if you weren't an athlete. You know, like it's hard to like successfully build hotels. It's hard to get the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's hard to, you know, when we're trying to think of other athletes that done like Mo Farah winning like Man of the Year in Britain or something like that. Didn't he win
Hmm.
some like BBC Man of the Year? Like no one, and it's hard for it makes sense when a basketball player does it or a football player, but when a track athlete does it, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. We're part of the bigger world, you know. So, you know, I always
Hmm.
just like it when athletes are doing things. It's like, oh yeah, he's famous because of running. It's kind of cool,
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely. Well, not to switch it back to negative things, but it does sound like the situation in Ethiopia is pretty ugly. Looks like this uprising by the Oromo people, according to this article on Azega.com, was caused following the death of a popular Oromo singer. And I'm sorry for the pronunciation, how I'm going to pronounce this name, but Hachalu Hundessa. And it sounds like, according to this, 200 people were killed following that.
Oh
And I
wow.
don't know, how many were killed in relation to the burning of Haile's hotels. I don't know the whole situation, but the point is you feel bad for that country, everything going on there. And I don't want to talk too much about it because we're just not educated. We don't know the cultural situation in Ethiopia, but to hear someone like that who's had success post running, like you mentioned, having to deal with this, you really, really feel bad for him.
Yeah, this podcast is going hot. It's going 100 and 0. It's like I'm going. I'm
Yeah,
like, hey, it's pretty
I know.
cool that you know he makes
It just
hotels and Presidential Medal of Freedoms goes out to athletes, and then you're like, yeah, well, it's a
this is
tragedy.
a
You know,
Wednesday
I'm like,
episode if I've ever heard one. Other entries to Monaco, if we can somehow switch it back, we've got Beatrice Chipkowich. Now, I don't know any American steeplers that are going to be coming over. I wouldn't imagine there will be. Bowerman with Courtney Frericks and Colin Quigley, they're doing their own thing. Emma Coburn famously said late last year when it was announced that the steeplechase was going to primarily be off the Diamond Leagues thing, she said, "I'm not running the Diamond League." And they've said too that they're going to, Team Boss's group, that they're going to just race in the US. So I don't think we're going to see any Americans. But Chipkowich 2 years ago set her world record, 8:44. We know she doesn't need anybody to be with her to run that fast. Could see another world record in the steeplechase. I'm just being really optimistic with how fast everyone is and what shape they're in.
world record. Every race is a world record.
Yeah. Uh,
I don't think she's going to run a world
we
record. I think she'll probably
I
like
mean, I
jog a
doubt it, right?
902.
But
Yeah.
no, she'll go faster than that.
Why?
Listen, I
What's the
don't.
benefit?
She just runs by her. This is the only way she knows how to run. I mean, she just takes every race out hard. That's what Chipkowich does. Um, she was in shape back in February. She ran a 4:02 indoor 1500. That was a world lead at one point. Not the world lead for very long because I don't know. I think El Purrier may have gotten it. We're getting way off track, but
Going all the
she
way back to indoor.
Chipkowich she likes to run from the front. I think 8:44 is a huge outlier, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll definitely be watching eagerly to see who is able to, who can run fast coming off these like huge breaks where there's not been any elite Diamond Leagues in the traditional sense. Like, is it possible to have no races and then show up in August and run fast? Like, I guess we'll find out.
I know we've only been potting for like 15, 20 minutes right now, but I think I want to get to the main, the A block or the main block. How Kevin loves to use that phrase: blocks A, B, C, whatever. I guess this is
Mm-hmm.
technically the C block, but we're gonna say it's the main event.
Mm-hmm.
So with things going on in the world, NBA bubble is working, right? They haven't had any tests positive. It's working with the caveat that, Lou Williams might go to a strip club on his day off. But other than that, it's working.
For dinner.
Uh,
For dinner. He likes the
ML,
food there.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, okay. Likes the food. And it's a gentleman's club, not a strip club, right? That's what they say these days. That's what they call themselves.
Yeah, sure.
But MLB, obviously, with the Marlins testing positive and having to postpone their games. Everyone else is still playing, so it didn't shut down the whole league, but it's kind of messing up the schedule. So it's not perfect. And NFL is going to have a similar model to MLB, where they're going to be competing in the outdoors, and it won't be perfect, right? All right. So NCAA cross country. Now I know this will never happen because no one is ever going to invest into an NCAA cross country bubble, but it would be kind
But
of cool. And I would like to imagine what would an NCAA cross country bubble be like? Because if we could have a bubble, we have no positive tests, we could do a full cross country season. We could have all that content. We could have BYU, NAU, Arkansas, Stanford, New Mexico, all in the same
mm-hmm.
town or same
Mm-hmm.
complex, racing each other every week. It would be the greatest amount of cross country content ever. So I thought what we should do is we should brainstorm this out. How do we create an NCAA cross country bubble? Where will it be? What will the schedule be like? What would the food be like? How do you think? Let's plan this out. We're the commissioners. So we're granting us
Yeah,
commissioner and vice commissioner. So I'm head commissioner, you're vice commissioner, and Kevin
I'm
is
fine
our
with it.
secretary. It's fine. Uh, First of all, where would be a good spot for an NCAA bubble? Like what town or like
Hmm.
area location could we have a bubble?
Well, I like an area that runs a lot of cross country and is light on population relative to other places. I just say put it in Terre Haute and build a whole facility on the Laverne Gibson course. And yes, everyone's going to have to train in there, but you get some farmland over to the side. They can use those for like classrooms, I guess. Everybody's going to be online. Um, so yeah, just throw it on top of Laverne Gibson. You got a full cross country course. Yes, not going to be fun because you're going to have to do all your workouts on that course. Everyone's going to see each other's workouts. You're going to have teams running workouts together, I guess. I don't know how you make that work with as many cross country. I think we'd have to trim this down. We'd have to do an NBA type of a situation where only 30 teams get in. So it's like we basically know plus or minus one team who's going to make NCAAs. So let's just like go ahead and pick those teams, and those are the teams that get to come. So you'd have like 60 teams total at Laverne Gibson, which would still be quite busy, but you'd have some overlap with a lot of schools making their men's and women's teams. We can make this work, I think. Throw it on Laverne Gibson. Not flashy, but practicality wise, whoever is donating 60 million or to construct a giant bubble. Obviously, it's not legit like an actual bubble, but you got to build some trailers out there for classrooms. You got to have people. You got to build like temporary dorms. There's going to be some serious investment. I know people are jockeying to pay up that money for NCAA cross country, but you're going to have all these kids taking online classes. And I just think you can throw them in some trailers off the side of the road there in Terre Haute, and there you go. You got an NCAA XC bubble from September to
So
November.
it's gonna be a hard sell, man, to have someone want to spend 3 months in Terre Haute, Indiana, in the middle
Hey
of
man, some
nowhere
people live there.
in cornfields. I know some people live there. Sorry, but I also think that you're thinking a little bit too. The budget's not as big as you think. All right, this is NCAA cross country. Our
Okay,
budgets are not NBA budgets, so a lot of the
right.
infrastructure needs to already be there. So you're trying to
Ah,
create a bubble on the land. We need to already have the spots. So now the bubble is not going to be perfect because you know people are going to have to stay in hotel rooms. So it has to be a place where there's hotel rooms or dorm rooms kind of in close proximity to multiple running areas and of course. So I was thinking, I mean, this is one idea. Maybe
mm,
the Mount Sac area, right? Cuz they just built a whole new cross country course and the stadium. They could probably they have the track to do workouts on, right? So they could do the
Mm,
workouts on the track, and then they have the cross country course on the outside. And then there's a lot of hotels in that area that people could come in and out to. So they're all just in that, you know, spot. So that's one location. Another location, potentially Nike's campus,
yeah, I was thinking that.
right?
Yeah.
You could have security there at Nike's campus, so no one's allowed in. So you could like really close off outside world. They could have places to stay on campus, and then they have the course. They have the track, of course. They can have the NXN course. That might be an option.
I mean,
What do you think?
the NXM course, is that on the Nike
I don't know.
campus? Yeah,
Wasn't it like used to be
Glendive.
like on a? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Or is it
It
off?
used to be at
Yeah.
Portland Meadows, which I'm not as familiar with the Portland area. Not a Pacific Northwest guy, so I'm not really sure. I think it's a fair idea. Now you got to kick out all the Nike employees, so we'd have to suspend Nike's, production, whatever work they got going on, because it's like NCAA cross country's taken over, so they're going to use Nike employee office space to do their studies, and the track, Bowerman, you're going to have to go find somewhere else to run. We've got NCAA cross country season, so yeah, I think Oregon, pretty good spot as well. Another one I thought of, I mean, they've worked hard to put money into their course, and there are some apartments right around. Yeah, we'd have to kick out the people, but they were going to host NCAAs this year. Stillwater, I mean, give them their shot. They wanted to have cross country there. They invested millions of dollars into their course. Here you go. Let's see how this works out. Oklahoma State, can you host, 60 teams for 3 months? It's a tough ask, but I mean, they wanted to host NCAA, so here you go.
So we can come back to this point on the technicality of where we are, but assuming we find the place of where we are, what do you think the actual inside the bubble atmosphere is going to be like? At the NBA, they have, a lot of activities. They have like game rooms, they have fishing, they have golf, and then they have a bunch of different practice basketball courts. So all 22 teams can practice at the same time, and they have different schedules. So for these 60 running teams, cross country teams, one, what's going to be their form of entertainment? And two, what's their workout schedule going to be like?
Yeah.
How do you think they're going to,
I'm thinking,
are we going to be seeing like some like NAU and BYU on the same track at the same time doing like repeat 400s or repeat Ks? And like,
yeah,
it's going to be weird.
I think we need a bunch of treadmills, a bunch of ping pong tables. You mentioned entertainment, a bunch of TVs. They can be, they don't have to be the greatest. We let's see what else. I mean, we're gonna need a cafeteria, so we got to figure that part out. But yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot to entertain a bunch of college students, right? Just throw some ping pong tables in, and I do need the treadmills just in case some athletes are rehabbing. Might need a pool. I don't know. What were you thinking for as far as entertainment? Yes, to answer your question, we're gonna have teams running workouts together. I'm convinced coaches are going to get together. They're going to be meeting at night, smoking their cigars, drinking scotch or whatever they've got. And they're going to be like, what session you got on plan for tomorrow? And they're going to be like really close and sort of like, let's just run them together. Because ultimately this like secrecy, competitive, like what workouts are you running? That's going to like fall away as people are in such close quarters. Teams are just going to, there's going to be like a weekly time, not time trial, but like weekly scrimmages. We're just going to be like try and dual meets all the time, and that's going to take the place of like your hard workouts, right? And they may not be 8K and 6K. They may be like a 3K and a 5K. You know what I mean? So there's potential for a lot of collaboration here, and we would need to be inside this bubble, like getting all this content. There'd be so much content. Like I can't. It's like an absolute factory. It's like what we'd have ping pong tournaments. That would be like a fully live on FloTrack thing. Like it's a little separate offering, like to figure out who the best NCAA cross country ping pong player is. Yeah, we need like
I
a
think about
computer
this,
lab.
like,
I don't know if they call them that still, obviously, but for kids to work, I know they have all their own laptops, but um, I feel like I'm figuring this out. Low cost. We just need some space to throw all these tables. I'm sure if we're at the Nike campus, they already have ping pong tables there, so it's not too hard
well,
to figure this all out.
so when I talk about workouts, do you think that the teams that are like have a younger coach, kind of first getting his feet wet against these big dogs of cross country powerhouses, they're like the 28th to 29th best team? Do you think they can be like, all right, for today's workout, just do whatever Luis Grijalva does? Like,
Mm-hmm.
just go find out where the NAU guys are and just follow, or the BYU guys, follow Connor Mance. If he does like 10 reps, do 10. Just like make
Mm-hmm.
sure you do as the same amount of distance as Wayne Kalati, and then we're good. Like, do you think
Mm-hmm.
we'll see like some lower tier teams and coaches just being like, let's just mirror what they're NAU's doing an easy day. Let's do an easy day. You know,
I think that'd be fine, and that would happen. I think what would be the difference is some of the bigger programs, and I know a lot of the small conferences have already been eliminated because they postponed, or canceled their fall sports. But I think you'd have like NAU and BYU, if they're at sea level, like investing in altitude tents to make it seem like a normal season, and you wouldn't be able to have those reps at 7,000 feet unless somehow this was in Flagstaff, which it wouldn't be. But you'd have like the top tier teams would still have like some top tier advantages, and maybe some of the smaller schools. Maybe it would be a community altitude tent, and so you'd have to take turns going in it. I don't know if that would make it effective at that point. But now we're really getting to the upper reaches of the budget if we're installing altitude tents for NCAA cross country. I think this is going to need to be, like you said, bare bones ping pong table. We're going to hear some complaints about the food. I mean, we saw it in the NBA, but at the same time, there were jokes at the NBA, like people tweeting out their food, and their joke was LeBron's not eating this. So maybe you could feel the same way, and like you'd have like a crappy like turkey sandwich, and you take a photo, and you'd be like, Connor Mance is not eating this. Wayne Kalati is not eating this. So there'd be some fun, it'd just be just so much fun to watch on social media how these athletes act, and for a series from it. I mean, it'd be like the real world cross country bubble type of a situation. There'd be so much drama going on within the bubble that can't imagine. Would you have athletes wanting to transfer mid-season because you're not even having to move? You're just like putting on a different jersey, basically. I mean, we'd have to open up the transfer portal and say you can compete right away. No issues. Just make it super easy. Maybe multiple people transferring multiple times per season. It's all up in the air.
This is the thing to worry about. NAU, BYU, Arkansas, all these like teams and stuff, they need to be scared of a super team being formed, because there's going to be about 20 individuals that get invited to this bubble who don't have a team, and they're all going to be living together. They're all going to be training together because they have no one else. They don't have teammates to train with, and they're going to spend an entire season training together. You have a Campbell athlete here. You have a Liberty athlete there. They're all going to be training together, and they're going to be like, hey, let's come back next year and represent one university. And then they decide, maybe they run for University of Phoenix, right? Because everyone's online. So they're like, hey, let's just run for University of Phoenix. And then in 2021, there's like this stud cross-country team that all bonded over the bubble because they were individuals, and now they're a team, and they're going to be like unstoppable. That's what
It doesn't even require that. I mean, you could have athletes from established teams wanting to go together and say, let's all, it could be a Miami Heat circa 2010 type of a situation, right? They could all decide tampering or no, we'd have to install some tampering rules. That's for sure.
The biggest concern is you'd have to protect your 6th and 7th man, right? Because I'm sure a lot of coaches are going to be like, hey, we have a really good 7th man, but he probably doesn't feel as valued here because he's not scoring, or he could be a top 5 guy for another team. So,
Mike
I'm
Smith,
sure NAU is going to be like, they're going to want to take our 7th man, because he could be like, our 7th man could be everyone's number 2.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Keep an eye on Ryan Raff. we need to know where his loyalties lie, because the guy,
You know,
he was the famously the eighth man on the NCAA cross country team last year, the NCAA cross country championships, last man out.
do you know where
So,
Ryan Raff is from?
no, where's he from?
Utah.
Is he from Utah? Oh yeah, you got to watch
Yeah.
out for that guy. He may be donning
So
the white and
BYU,
blue. Yeah.
apparently he gets made fun of on the team for that, because BYU
Oh
NAU
geez.
rivalry. He's kind of like, hey, where do your loyalties lie? Because he was a BYU fan
Oh.
growing up, like all BYU fan. So I tried to like bait him into like, all right, in what situation would you be okay with BYU winning? And he's like, always NAU. But I was like, yeah, but in this situation, would you be like? I was trying to get him to be like, I'm a BYU fan, but he couldn't, obviously,
Yeah.
because he's now been in NAU for 3+ years. So but
Yeah.
yeah, Ryan Raff they're gonna need to put Ryan Raff in a separate bubble to make sure he doesn't get tampered by Ed Eyestone and the Mormon Church. So you gotta be careful.
What are some other features of the bubble that you're envisioning? How are we going to make this work?
So what's the competition, right? So they're all there, right? And you can't have like a giant like Nutty Comesque invitational and like, well, 15 teams compete and 15 teams compete, because they're like, that's all what we already do. We kind of want to see more competition. We don't just want to have a bubble for them to train in and not perform. I guess that's what you can call it, perform for the fans out there. So I think you would have to create a maybe Survivor style mini tournament, or a bunch of like round robin, like pool play, like a group play,
Yeah.
right? Where you create a bunch of 4 groups and they all race each other, and then the winners then come and you have like a tournament like that. But I want to see, this is what I want to see. I want to see I want to see everyone gets matched up, right? And
Okay.
everyone runs in the so I want to see this style of race. I want to see kind of like Tour de France time trial type race, okay? Where you have your 5 guys, right? And no one is, because we have to socially distance, so they can't race next to each other. So what you do is they all start like 2 minutes apart. So they're all on the same course, but they're all starting 2 minutes apart, so they never overlap each other. You run like a K with your group of 5, right? And your K time only, the time that your K counts as is the time of your 5th man. So there's no benefit of your first man running fast, because your first man should only run as fast as your 5th man. So they run a K, and then after that K, the 5th man drops off, and then you have your top 4 people running, and you only run as fast as the 4th man. So you basically, each rep is only as fast as your slowest person. So you have to work as a team to pull the team along, and then when you get to the final K, maybe everyone runs a 2K, could make it a 10K. So it's 5, so 2K, 2K, 2K. So then the last person then is just on his own for the final 9 and 10K, and you're continuously running. And then you add up the time, and then that whatever the time is, you win. So basically, having a star number 1 runner doesn't really give you that much advantage, because 8K of the 10K, they have to run as fast as their teammates, and it allows you to kind of see who truly has the best depth. So if you have a really good 5th runner, that's helpful, because your first 2K is going to be fast. So you have a 2K, 4K, 6K, 8K, 10K, and then time trialed it out, and then that's the result.
And this determines what? This determines who moves
gets
on to another round?
Pizza on the pizza day.
Okay. Okay, cool.
No,
I was just
no.
trying to find I was just trying to figure out food. I wasn't trying. I didn't know you had sussed this out so much. I mean, I could tell you're making all that up on the fly, but that's
I
pretty
actually
impressive.
did that race in high school. I did that race in high school, and it was fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was a mile though.
No.
It was we were running. Maybe we're running 1,200 meters each. I mean, we're in high school, so it was a 5 people, and then so the 5th man ended up running like probably, I guess, I don't know, but we got dropped off. So the idea was, though, it's a time trial cross country race where it requires everyone on the team to be just equally as important, because your number 1 runner can't just go off and run a fast time. They have to run with the team until they're by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who do you think would win that race?
I'd watch. Who do I think would win that race? Well, I mean, the teams with incredible depth, right? I mean, it'd be like a normal
Yeah.
cross country situation, right? I mean, NAU on the men's side would be pretty good at that, I feel like. And I don't know, choose any Stanford on the women's side. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess that's true. That's why I
Yeah.
think it's a good setup, and it's socially distanced, right? Everyone's just running on their own, running
Well,
with your
we don't
team and
need to
on
be
your own.
social. Do we need to be socially distanced whenever we've been bubbled up? I mean, you don't have to worry about that as much if you know everyone is negative and everyone's staying in this bubble. You don't have to worry about it.
Then why do they wear masks in the bubble?
It's a good question. It's a fair question. I understand why baseball players do it. They're not bubbled, right? But yeah, one question I did have is if people opt out, which they haven't done in the NBA, at least not to the level of MLB, NFL. If people were to opt out, would they keep their eligibility? Can you opt out in this situation?
I think so. Yeah, everyone's allowed to opt out.
Okay.
It's the world of opting out. We're opting out of work.
Yeah.
We're opting out of life. We're opting out of everything. Opting out of responsibility.
Yeah.
Hey,
Jeez, that's
I
tough.
don't want to, I don't want to do errands anymore. Okay, I'm just gonna
Hmm.
opt out of that and just not do errands. Stay at
Hmm.
home.
Hmm. I'm trying to think what else we can do. So what location have we settled on? We need to come up with a compromise. Do we want to try to put this
I
on Nike
think
campus? We got a lot of schools that are not Nike schools. They need to make every program a Nike program at that point. They'd want marketing control of this bubble, right?
yeah, but maybe Nike's gonna have to. I'm sure there's some NBA players out there who are really big Universal Studios fans and are kind of upset they have to represent Disney World. They're kind of like, I really wish Six Flags was our location, or
Yeah.
Knoebels Park, or Hershey Park, But
Mhm.
I think Nike's gonna have to bite the bullet and be like, hey, I mean, it would look bad though when Nike does this whole thing and then it turns out in a NAU comes in as the Adidas school and just stomps on everyone. It makes
Mhm.
maybe NAU gets
You're
screwed
right.
over. They probably put NAU in the old dorms and give them the old food and the bad trails.
Well, I think this is going to have to be in the Portland area. I think we decided you've got access to that campus. You've got the NXN course, as you mentioned, all the tracks you could want, and Adidas is also in the Portland area. At least they have their U.S. campuses. So I think we can make this work for all schools involved. But yeah, I think we settled it. Now we just need somebody outside the NCAA, because they're not going to do it, to pony up some cash to make this happen, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
I'm sure the University of
I'll
Portland would be for this.
Yeah, well, the thing is, University of Portland. I'm sorry, but you got to be inside the bubble. You don't get to stay in your own little dorms and your
Oh yeah, of course,
houses.
of
Rob
course.
Connor, you're gonna have to be away from your family for 4 months, the same way the Orlando Magic have to be away from their family, even though they're on the other side of the fence. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll find a donor and then we can do this, make it happen. I mean, we don't even need a
Hmm.
donor. The donor already exists. It's Nike, right? They just be the donor. They're pay for everything.
Okay. Nike just we're just asking you for a
Hey,
few $1 million is all.
they take all the money that they normally would have spent on NXN, and there's no NXN, and spend it on NCAA. Done. Problem
Mm,
solved. Just move
cool.
the budget
So
numbers.
throw this.
Change the column from high school to college, and we're done.
I think we figured this out. Let's just, now that the plan is fully sussed out, let's get this going. Put the ball in motion. I will. I will gladly sign my name to a list if this needs signatures and make this happen. And if we want to start like a GoFundMe, I'll put in $20 towards this. I have no
Yeah.
problem doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Do you
think we
get
got
your
it
money
figured out.
back if
All
we don't?
right.
Do we get money? What happens if you give to a GoFundMe and it doesn't hit the goal? Do you get your money back?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I always wonder what the point of the goal is, but I mean, obviously, I know what the point of the goal is. Let me retrace that. But yeah, I don't know if you get your money back. Okay. This was an adventure of a show, a shorter one than normal, but I think we figured out some important things today, from Haile G to the NCAA bubble that isn't going to happen. For myself, Lincoln Shrike, he's Gordon Mack. We will see you tomorrow.